All right, we are heading into the absolute nail-biter final group stage matches of AFCON 2025. This is where everything's on the line, where a single goal can send a nation into euphoria or heartbreak. The pressure is just massive. But what if we could cut through all that chaos? Well, let's get into it. You know that feeling, right? The last 10 minutes of a must-win tournament match. It is pure chaos and emotion, and most of the time, we're all running on gut instinct. But is that the best way? Or can cold, hard data actually give us a clearer picture of what's about to unfold? That's exactly what we're going to find out today. So, to get our answers, we're turning to a pretty powerful analytical model. It's designed for exactly these kinds of high-stakes situations. It chews through tons of data, team motivation, tactics, recent form, you name it. The whole point is to filter out all the noise and find the real signals that tell us what's coming. And after crunching all the numbers for these incredibly important matches, the model has identified its absolute highest confidence picks. We're moving past just simple guesswork here and into the world of actual data-driven intelligence. So what did it find? And here we go. This is the strategic play outlook. The model's ranked 4 key matches, but I want you to look at those top 2. See how Ivory Coast and Algeria are labeled high-confidence anchors? They've got win probabilities of 91% and 89%. That's the data basically screaming that these are the most solid, most reliable outcomes of the entire round. Okay, so why is the model so incredibly sure about these games in particular? Let's dive a little deeper and look at the evidence behind each of these predictions, starting with the one right at the top of the list. First up, we've got Gabon taking on Ivory Coast. This is the match that our data model has flagged with the absolute highest level of certainty. A massive 91% confidence score. I mean, wow. You just don't see a number this high very often. It's a top-tier prediction, and a score like this only happens when pretty much every single important factor is pointing overwhelmingly in one direction. So here's the why behind that 91%. The model is seeing Ivory Coast's perfect defensive record so far, their obvious tactical edge, and the simple fact that qualification pressure means they have to go all out. That 5-star signal strength, that's the system's seal of top confidence. The only thing to really watch out for is a late, desperate push from Gabon if they're already losing. Okay, next up is our second high-confidence anchor match, Equatorial Guinea facing the powerhouse that is Algeria. And for this one, the model is giving Algeria an 89% chance to win. Now, it's just a little shy of that top pick, but make no mistake, 89% is still an extremely strong signal. It points to a very, very high probability of an Algerian victory. The big story here is Algeria's consistent attacking firepower. They just know how to find the back of the net. Plus, the model is weighing that immense qualification pressure. That gauge is in the red for a reason. Historically, that's when Algeria really steps up and performs. The one thing that could slow them down is a really compact defense from Equatorial Guinea, which is why we're seeing a strong 4-star signal, but not quite a perfect 5. Now for our third match, Mozambique against Cameroon. And for this one, the model is suggesting a slightly different angle, a draw no bet on Cameroon. The confidence here is 83%. So what does draw no bet actually mean? It's pretty simple. We're confident Cameroon won't lose. If they win, great. If the match ends in a draw, it's a wash. So this 83% is really pointing to a Cameroon win, but with a built-in safety net. It's a more risk-aware way to look at it. And the logic makes a lot of sense. Cameroon's on a great unbeaten streak, and they are masters at balancing attack and defense in these super tense final matches. They've got the experience to manage the game and control the pace. The main watch-out here is that they might rotate the squad a bit, which could just slightly dial down their intensity up front. And that brings us to our fourth and final high-confidence prediction from the system, Sudan versus Burkina Faso. Here, the model is showing an 82% confidence in a straight win for Burkina Faso. It's another really solid signal that rounds out our top 4 picks for these crucial final matches. What we've got here is a classic story of 2 teams trending in opposite directions. Burkina Faso has built this defensive brick wall, just staying solid and stable all tournament long. Meanwhile, Sudan's attack has been fading. As you can see on that chart, the data projects that Burkina Faso will control this game, with the only watch-out being that they sometimes get a bit too conservative after they take the lead. But look, raw numbers are only ever part of the story, right? To really get what these predictions mean, we have to add that layer of strategic context. This is where the machine's analysis meets the real-world strategy of the game. And this context is so important. For example, the model knows some teams might be managing their energy if they've already qualified. It also anticipates that those Cameroon and Burkina Faso games might be lower scoring because of how defensively they're set up. And most importantly, it confirms our two high-confidence anchors, Algeria and Ivory Coast, are expected to use their full-strength teams because they absolutely have to win. So we have the predictions and we have the context. What does all of this actually mean for you watching the game? How can you take this intelligence and use it to be a bit smarter in how you see things unfold? Well, it really comes down to these three things. First, you can use this data to maybe quiet down some of those emotional decisions, the ones driven by hype. Second, it helps you understand when the odds really line up with the data. And third, it lets you focus your attention on the games with the highest confidence, like that 91% signal, instead of the 50-50 toss-ups. And it all boils down to this one simple, powerful idea. It doesn't matter if you're just a diehard fan or a serious fantasy player, using data just gives you a real edge over pure guesswork. Smart decisions beat guesswork every time. And so there you have it. The analysis is done, the predictions are on the table, the data has spoken, and it's spoken with some incredible clarity. The only question left is, will the action on the pitch agree? We're all about to find out.